Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Sarcasm Speaks. Jared and Bob here. We just had a fun little, I don't know, drill, I suppose. Um, Amy's giving the baby a bath in the bathroom over there, and I just hear her start yelling my name, and I go, "Oh shit!" So I like run up. I literally jumped over the couch because we have to put up the baby gate. You can't see this because I use a background here, but we have to put up a baby gate in between the couch and the bookcase because he'll just fucking like run over here and start yelling and shit. Um, so I literally jump over the couch and I'm like, oh, what's going on? Apparently, while he was getting a tub, we still use the like a big plastic tub that we put in the tub, but he's just about too big, so we're gonna have to start giving him like a real bath in the real tub. But anyway, he's sitting in one of those, and apparently he stuck his face in the water because babies are super flexible. He does this all the time where he just leans forward and he can be sitting like his legs are out straight, and then he can put his face on the ground. Um, it's kind of insane when you think about how flexible babies are, and then you're like, oh, what happens to us when we become adults? Um, So he had just leaned forward, put his face in the water, and apparently tried to inhale and started choking on water. And then he just threw up everywhere because he was choking on water. So it's definitely my kid. So he just had to go in, dump his little tub, scoop the puke out of the big tub, change the water, clean everything off, and now it's tubby time part two. So yeah,
Good start to the night.
the joys of having a toddler. Bill, if you're listening, get ready. Although I don't know, I think girls might be a little bit easier. I have no idea. I think when like the certainly the toddler stage, I think they might be a little bit easier, but like as a dude, um, I would still prefer the boy. But whatever. That's just me personally. Um, I'm sure it's one of those things too where you just adapt, right? Like even before our kid was born, I wasn't like super nervous. I know we talked about it a little bit, and I'll never forget your fantastic line was, "Dude, crackheads have kids, right? Like if a crackhead can raise a baby, like I think you'd be all right." So that's usually my go-to when I'm like, "Oh shit, I don't know what is this, what is that," and I'm like, "Oh, wait a second, if a crackhead can do this, I can figure it out." Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's one of those things like you just kind of figure it out because there's I don't know. It's just different, right? Like it's just different. Um, like they're probably not into like roughhousing and like jumping off the couch and shit like that. But who knows? Everyone's different too, right?
It
Like
just depends on the
it just
kid.
depends. It depends on the kid. Because you can just as well have a boy that's like, hey, don't fucking throw me around, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, I suppose it is more dependent on the kid, but um, yeah. So that was the last 7 minutes probably before we went live. It's never a dull moment.
Nope. Usually isn't.
Um, all right, so a couple sports things here. We got sports, big sports guys. Um, I saw the other day Matt McCarthy from 98.5 The Sports Hub posted because he still has Xfinity for cable through Comcast. And he got an email from them. So he screenshotted it and put it on Twitter. And it was a notice from Xfinity that I don't know when exactly, but at some point soon in the future, Comcast is moving both NESN and NBC Boston Sports to their like premiere package, right? So for anyone that might remember, maybe you don't remember, how cable packages used to work. Maybe you're young and don't even know what cable is. Um, but they have the different tiers, right? You have your basic, you have your basic plus, then you have your plus, then premier, and then everything, right? That super duper premier plus, whatever the fuck, right? Um, so Comcast, again, moving NESN and NBC Sports Boston to the premier tier. So why is this a thing, right? Someone out there listening is probably like, why the fuck do I care? All right, true, that's fair, especially if you're not in New England. You probably don't get it, but NESN, right, is New England Sports Network, right? That is the exclusive home of the Boston Bruins and the Boston Red Sox. And then NBC Sports Boston is the home of the Celtics. So a few years ago, maybe 2019, 2020. I don't know how long it's been. Maybe like 2020. NESN was in a feud, I suppose you could say, with with YouTube TV, right? So NESN could not come to a deal with YouTube TV. So they broke their contract and NESN disappeared. You could no longer watch NESN if you were on if you use YouTube TV for streaming service, right? To stream cable. Um, Everyone was like, oh, that's okay. We'll just go to Sling, right? Well, 6 months later, NESN ran into the same problem with Sling, and NESN got pulled from Sling. So the best part about that too is both times NESN was like, "Oh, these streaming companies are trying to hit us with unfair terms and whatever," and it's like, listen, man, if you can't come to an agreement with two different streaming services, maybe the problem is you, right? Like maybe you're the fucking problem. Maybe it's not them, right? Because they're two separate companies. So now NESN apparently could not come to a deal with Comcast, right? So they're being pushed to their premier package, which cable has a little bit more leeway, right? Because cable is cable. Like that is it's kind of the end all be all, right? Like it has every channel you could get. All the streaming services don't have the same channel package as a cable would. Like that's just a fact, right? You get like that literally thousands of channels through cable if you get like the super premiere plus package, right? Because you get all those fucking music channels and all everything else. Um, Streaming service you get hundreds, right? But cable you get in the thousands. So now Comcast is like, okay, well, NESN, we're going to push you to the premier plan. Okay, cool. So I think this is kind of the nail in the coffin for me that NESN sucks, right? They're just a gaggle of cunts, if you will, because they just can't find deals anywhere. So now the only place you can get NESN for a normal price, right? Whatever the normal price is Fubo TV, which is just the third streaming service behind YouTube, Sling, and then it's Fubo. Um, I have no interest in switching to Fubo TV. It's just I can't be bothered, right? Like I already have all my shit loaded on YouTube TV. Um, I don't care, right? I just don't care enough to switch to Fubo. Um, So I've stuck with YouTube TV for years and years and years, right? Like I haven't had cable service in forever. Um, the interesting thing to me here, which I think is actually hilarious, NBC Sports Boston being moved here too, right? So with NESN, you can draw the conclusions, right, that there was some negotiation issues, especially given NESN's history, right, with Sling and YouTube. NBC Sports Boston is an NBC corporation, right? It's in the name. NBC is owned by Comcast. So by Comcast, moving NBC Sports Boston to a premiere channel, they're literally giving you the collective you, right? The user, the middle finger, saying, we own this channel, but if you want to watch sports, if you want to watch live sports like the Celtics, nah, now you got to pay us more. Because now the only way you're going to do that is if you get the premiere package. So yeah, NESN sucks, right? They clearly are doing whatever they're doing. Well, because then after they split their deal with Sling and YouTube, they came out with NESN 360, which is like $500 a year or something like that. Maybe it's like
Yes,
450,
I thought it
but
was like $30 a month. Maybe it's like on offer.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, $30 a month would be
360.
360. So yeah, you're almost $400 a year just to watch NESN, right? So John Henry can blow me. I'm not going to do that. So because that's the other thing too. If you're not from around here, John Henry, who is the owner of the Boston Red Sox, also owns NESN. Um, so again, you can point the finger at NESN, right, and say, "Hey, you guys suck," right? John Henry's a dickhead. Um, but Comcast is just fucking slimy pieces of shit because it's the channel that they own by their own company, and they're like, "Yeah, but if you want to watch the Celtics, you're gonna pay us more."
What have been doing these days? I mean, I know you have to have FiOS in the area to use it. Are
Yeah,
they being
Verizon.
normal?
Um, Probably, maybe for
Because
now.
it's like, I mean, I don't use Verizon. I don't know a lot of people that do. I don't even think it's in our area.
We have Verizon internet.
So you have Verizon internet. Oh, okay, just internet. I was say,
Yeah.
so why do you have both? No, you don't have both. You just have one. Um, yeah, I wonder if there has to be an option that works here. Like, does DirecTV have like a streaming platform?
Yeah.
Does Dish have a streaming platform?
Yeah, well they're not streaming because they're satellite dishes. Like DirecTV and
Yeah, I
Dish
don't want to install
are,
the hardware. I don't want to install the hardware
yeah. So I don't think they offer a streaming platform. I feel
because
like that kind of defeats the
but
purpose of,
Comcast offers a streaming platform.
oh, really? But I think you have to be a subscriber. Like
You
you,
do.
yeah, yeah.
That's the thing is like it's like yeah, I'll subscribe and then just don't fucking do the install.
DirecTV have
There
streaming
definitely is. There absolutely has to be.
service. I just asked ChatGPT. Let's see.
And
Yes,
20
both Dish Network and DirecTV offer streaming services. DirecTV provides a streaming service called DirecTV Stream, which allows you to watch live TV and on demand content without the need for a satellite dish or cable box. Huh. Service can be accessed by various devices, including smart TVs, streaming players, smartphones, blah, 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 blah. Dish Network offers a streaming service called Sling TV. So the Sling is owned by Dish.
so DirecTV Stream was the
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I
Basically,
think
come on.
I think DirecTV, unless they spun it off, um, but DirecTV was owned by AT&T at one point in time. I don't know if they still are.
So DirecTV Stream has NESN.
Interesting.
It has Golf Channel, NFL Network. I'm not seeing um it does have NBC Sports Boston. I'm not seeing Red Zone, but maybe you can get it.
Yeah, it was like an add-on.
Yeah, maybe on Ross channel. What do you think would be under NFL Red Zone or
Yeah,
Red Zone?
probably NFL Red Zone.
Okay, I don't know if it. I don't know if Red Zone's available, but the price. Yeah, so DirecTV is gonna be a little bit more expensive. So it looks like it's on offer for $95 a month,
Yeah.
but it looks like the regular price is 116 a month. So it's more expensive
And Red
kind of by a
Zone is
lot.
a $15 add-on for the sports package.
Yeah, okay. So like you might end up paying $50 more a month than YouTube TV
Yeah.
to have NESN in Red Zone.
Yeah. And I mean at that point, just get
Why?
NESN 360 if it's only
Then
$30 a
fuck that.
month.
What's the thing? Fuck that.
Yeah. Yeah. Which if I'm not going to spend $30 a month for NESN 360, I'm not going to
I'm
spend
not paying
$50 a
50
month. Yeah.
for direct TV, whatever
Yeah.
stream. That's all right. I mean, dude, I don't see. I mean, John Henry's a cunt anyway. I just I don't see how this works out for them for Comcast. Or I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe people just simply don't care. They'll just go, "Yep, just upgrade it because I want to watch the Bruins and I want to watch the Red Sox."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I haven't been able to watch a Bruins game in years unless
Yeah, I
they're
don't
on
remember when that
national
happened.
TV, right? Because if they're on national TV, whether they're on ESPN or what are they, TNT or TBS, whichever one they do, they use sometimes for national. Um, that's the only time I
Are
can
V
watch the Bruins.
are VPNs legal, illegal, frowned upon?
Um,
What's the story there?
they're not illegal. I know that. Um,
But
I th
is it one of those things like they're not illegal to have, but like their use is weird?
Yeah, it might be frowned upon by the streaming service, like the
Yeah, but
streaming
I don't care about
platforms.
them.
Yeah, but fuck them, right? Same thing like when we were growing up, like, oh, you really shouldn't download music off of LimeWire and Napster. It's
Right.
like, yeah, okay, fuck you. I'm not going to spend $17 on a CD
Yeah.
when I can just download it for free.
Um, yeah, because the only person that would hurt in this situation is NESN. Because I wouldn't be like, so if I got a VPN here, I would be able to watch the games through ESPN or ESPN Plus or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. But probably depending on what kind of TV you have, you'd probably only be able to watch it on like a tablet or a laptop because I don't know if TVs have the capability to connect to a VPN. Yeah, I'm sure the brand new smart TVs that are basically computers do, but I think because you have to log into a VPN and like it's an app type of deal. So like it's on your phone and
You may need a
laptop,
you
computer.
or you may need a Roku or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. But either way, I mean, again, I haven't had NESN in years, and I don't watch basketball, so
Right.
um, I am unaffected by this news. But yeah, I mean, they're all fucking assholes. All of them involved.
Yeah.
Henry, Comcast, all of you.
Yeah.
It's like there's no coincidence there. It's like you guys looked at this and go, "Oh, people in Boston like sports," so it's like let's just fuck them on their ability to watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like it's a slimy move by Comcast, right? Because like I said, like the NESN thing, yeah, you can say they are pieces of shit when it comes to the negotiating table. Comcast owns NBC. So they were like, "Oh, well, if we're going to move the Bruins and the Red Sox, to the premier tier, let's just line our own pockets a little bit more and move the Celtics while we're at it. They saw it as an opportunity to make more money, right? Because they were like, well, if we're already going to move two sports teams to the premier tier, people what are they going to do about a third, right? They're like they're already pissed, so let them be pissed about three instead of two, and then at the end of the day we make more money. I guarantee you that's probably almost verbatim what someone said around a conference table at Comcast when they were doing that.
You would assume.
Yeah,
No, NBC Sports Boston's still on YouTube TV, so I wonder if people would look
it's
at it and just say, fuck Nesson. And like, I wonder, I would love to see this backfire. I would love it.
yeah.
I don't think it will, though. Not
No.
everyone needs to think like I do. That's fine. You don't have to, but
Yeah, I mean unless because for Comcast to feel the heat, um it would probably need to be nationwide, right? Like they would need to move all of their regional
yeah,
sports network and their local NBC sports network to
yeah,
this for them to even feel it. Because Boston, yeah, it's a big market. It's not a big enough
not that big.
market. It's not a big enough market to do any damage to the bottom line in Comcast, right? So, like, if a lot of people that watch sports in Boston decide to drop Comcast cable and go to YouTube TV and say, well, I guess I'm just not going to watch NESN anymore. I don't think that's enough people
No, I don't think so.
for Comcast to reverse course.
For a company that big.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like all of their regional networks, like Yes Network in New York and whatever they have in Philly. I don't know what the Philly network is called, but those plus NBC Sports New York and NBC Philly, right? Like they would have to do that across the board for them to actually feel the pain, which I don't know if they are. They might be, right? But I don't know. I don't follow regional sports in other regions of the world. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those like I know I said, Matt McCarthy is the one that posted it from the Sports Hub, which obviously it affects those guys more, right? Because now that's their job. So anyone's job that is to watch sports and write about them or talk about them, it's a direct shot at them too, right? Like they don't get to be obstinate, right? Like you and me. Um, they have to pony up because they have to watch it. They have to get it. Now that's a weird one. I'm sure the answer is it depends, like most things are, and it depends on who your accountant is. But I wonder if you are a sports writer, because this is a premium service, could you write off just the premium package on your taxes, right? So, like, could you just write off the $30 extra charge, not like the full cable bill charge, because it's required for your job?
So when we first started out, I had a very conservative accountant. He used to work in auditing, so he was always like trying to make sure like shit wouldn't show up.
Right,
And we asked him about like golf memberships, and he goes, "Well, the IRS views golf as entertainment, as social, so no, you can't write it off." And we're like, "But we have golf program, we have clients, all this stuff." He goes, "No." So we asked a different guy. Now this was a guy coming to the gym, and we asked, and he goes, "You can write off whatever you want. You just have to be able to defend it."
right,
He goes, "In case of an audit," and it's like, I'm pretty sure. Well, both answers are correct, right? Because
right.
the first guy is trying to make sure that we're not just writing shit off. That's gonna fucking
Flagging on it.
well, 'cause that's the thing is even going through an audit is a massive pain in the ass.
Right,
And then like you have to hire your account, then you have to like hire your accountant hourly, like not just doing returns.
right.
So it's extremely expensive too, especially when it's like seriously like that was like if Chris and I was doing that, it wasn't a legitimate business expense. It
Right.
was an expense that we just didn't want to pay for personally.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and it would have been a way to hide taxes or taxable income. So it's like definitely would have been subject to just like
Right.
people like looking into that. So if you are a sports writer and you go, I'm going to write off my cable bill because I have to have it to work. Because what are your options? I don't
Right.
really know. Like if you're a sports writer and your job is to watch the games,
Right.
can't really not watch the games.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that you could probably write that stuff off. Now you would have to like make the argument and probably like an attestation that no, I would not have cable if I was not a sports writer
Yeah.
or something.
Right. Right.
Or like no, I wouldn't have internet at home if I wasn't a sports writer. Like
Yeah, well, that's what
because
I
that's
mean
where it would get weird.
about the premium services, right? Because you could make the argument like I would not have the premium service if I were not a sports writer, right? Like that would be an easier thing. Like NESN
That's why I think
360, right?
yeah.
Like the $400 a year to write off the $400 a year, you could very easily make the argument if I didn't write about the Boston Red Sox, I wouldn't pay $400 a year for a streaming service.
And that's the only thing I don't know about tax code. I don't know if tax code says something like you cannot write off because I guess that's technically a utility. It's like you cannot write off utilities, like, but you have to be able to in some capacity.
Right.
Or I wonder if it's like mileage, like you have to make a call for because like you can either write off miles, like mile by mile,
Hmm.
or you can write off like a percentage of like personal versus professional use.
Right.
So it might be like one of those things like, hey, like, you can write off half the cable bill because, um, yes, it is a job need, but it is also a personal thing in
Right.
a way.
Right.
But then, yeah, so I mean, if you have, yeah, you would have to, it would be like one of those things like you would have to make the call, like, I only have NESN 360 so that I can write about the team that I cover. Um, But then that's the other thing though, it might not allow it because if you're a team writer, like a real one, like you go to the games and you're up on the ninth floor, right?
Right. Yeah,
So I don't know.
most likely. Yeah.
But yeah, if you work for a smaller company, you don't have that access.
Right. Yeah, that's gonna be the one thing that sucks about being a baseball writer, or even
Having to go to Fenway.
like a hockey writer, right? Like you're at 82 game, like you're on the road with the team, right? Like you're going because those guys are always in the locker room post game, right? It's like if you work for one of the bigger companies, like you're traveling with the team. So like 6, 7 months out of the year, like you're just commuting to Boston or flying around the country with the team. That's a lot.
About the job though.
Yeah, no, it is for sure, but it's kind of a lot. So yeah, that's actually a really good point though that you bring up that they probably don't pay for these streaming services because they're not going to the games. But someone in radio, right? Like whether it's Felger and Maz or Matt McCarthy or
Yeah, like
whoever,
they're not
right?
going to the games.
They don't go to the games. They watch them on TV. So like that's the instance where you could probably make the argument. about writing off something like a NESN 360. Would have been a good
You
question
bet
for
you.
Ian because Ian writes for an online sports entity, right? I know he works for SI now, but he doesn't go to every game that he writes about.
No,
But I also, yeah, he does pay taxes because he works in the country.
he
I was
has
gonna
to
say,
file a U.S.
yeah,
return.
being a Canadian citizen, I didn't know how that looked. I wonder if he gets hammered double because he may have to pay Canadian taxes still too. I wonder how that works. Like, I wonder if he only has to pay one, like whether he either has to pay New York state tax or federal tax and then Canada tax, or because I'm sure Canada takes something because the United States does. Like if you go work abroad, like the US they take a tax from you if you work in Spain. If you're on a visa, right? Like if you leave the country and you live permanently in Spain, right, and do whatever, like I don't think they try and tax you, but I think if you're on a work visa in another country, I think the United States still takes taxes from you.
The U.S., yeah. So I mean, they tax you get taxed where you earn the money. So I don't know what Canada does.
Yeah.
No, I don't know how that works in general.
Yeah.
Because
Would
that's
be
the thing is like you hear like some of the golfers, they win an event in Australia. They're like, yeah, that's cool. Half is just gone.
yeah.
But that because that's what the Australian tax is. So they don't pay a US tax. But that's also a little bit of a different beast.
Yeah. Yeah, as a
So I don't think you
sporting
need
event. I don't know how
do
that's
those guys
different.
need work visas when they go play a golf tournament in like Australia?
They might.
Yeah, they might.
So this is
I don't
super
know.
random, but I think they do because when we were in high school, my high school lacrosse coach got he was friends with someone who worked in the Boston Blaze, who was the indoor like arena lacrosse league
Yeah.
at the time. And they got someone to from the Boston Blaze to be an assistant coach with us. And I remember it being an issue because he was Canadian and he was in the US on a work visa to play lacrosse for the Boston Blaze. So there was like red tape about him getting paid by Medford High to be an assistant lacrosse coach. So he like ended up not really ever being around because he wasn't actually getting paid for it. And we were all like, oh, what the hell? Like he was here for like 3 days and then he just disappeared. And then he showed up like weeks later for like 2 days. And then like weeks later, then he was there. And then he came at the end of the like he was never around. But like it was sold to us from this new coach at the time. And it was like, oh, well, we have a professional lacrosse player who's going to help us as an assistant coach. And then I remember finding out that there was the work visa issue because he was Canadian. And they don't allow you to earn another source of income that's outside of the purpose that's on your work visa. So I bet these guys do need to apply for work visas when they go
I
to
would say
other
the only
countries.
thing, unless
There's got to be an expediter though. Like there's 1000% someone that works for the PGA Tour that files all the paperwork for these guys. Like you probably
but
have to pay them, right? Like there's a fee, but like I am certain the PGA Tour has an expediter for that.
yeah, and then it might be a little bit different though because they're still getting paid by the PGA Tour. So it's like the PGA Tour withholds the taxes like
Right. It's a
appropriately,
it's a
but
US corporation.
yeah, so it's weird.
Yeah, that is weird because it's a US corporation paying you US dollars in another country.
Yeah, where you earned it, but also it's like the PGA Tour is not tied to location either.
Right. Well, isn't it? It's Florida, isn't it?
Well, no, they have an HQ, but
Right.
you don't work at PGA Tour HQ.
Yeah.
You work in Hawaii for 2 weeks and then California for 4 weeks.
Right.
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it's odd. That's one of those weird things that like when it comes to being a professional athlete, like the nuance in the taxes, right, gets kind of crazy. Which
Yeah.
apparently take it with a grain of salt because it comes from Twitter. But apparently, one of the reasons, I'm sure there were many, but one of the reasons why Calvin Ridley did not come to the New England Patriots is because of the millionaire tax that's in this state.
Yeah, I mean they were talking about that, but it's funny because that was like a talking point this offseason, but it's always been 0% in Florida and 5% here. So now it's nine for $1 million or more,
Right.
but it's always been that.
Yeah.
Why is it an issue now? Like
Yeah.
the guy didn't want to play here because the team's fucking terrible and the organization sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a different free agent. I forget who it was. I want to say something tells me it was like a D lineman, maybe. I don't know. I forget who it was. Um, but part of the Patriots offer included additional money to offset the tax. Like they were willing to pay this guy more to cover the tax that would be taken out so that he would make whatever he wanted to make,
The
right? So like
same.
if a guy asked for 35 million, right, and you give him 35, he's only going to take home 22, right? Or probably less than that if we're being realistic. But they were like, okay, so we'll pay you 50, right? So that you'll take home 35. And that the whoever that was still said no. Again, these are alleged stories from Twitter, right? I think I got them from people like that might be beat writers, like it might have been like an Evan Lazar or like someone like that. But still, I mean, it's a story on Twitter, so who knows how accurate it is, but it's definitely, like I said, one of those weird nuances that comes from being a professional athlete and playing in, you know, 15, 16 different states, depending on what sport you play, right? Like if you're a hockey or baseball player, right, and you're playing 82 games a year, basketball, right, or baseball with 162 games a year, you're playing 81 games in other states.
Yeah, it's a lot of tax returns.
It's a lot of tax returns. So, um, the other sports thing I got here before we wrap this up. Did you watch any of the TGL last
No,
week?
like 1 second.
So I watched a grand total probably of about 12 minutes right before I went to bed. I saw people were tweeting about it um, maybe around like 9:15, 9:20, and I was like, oh, like I got nothing else going on. Like Amy was reading a book, so I was like, let me just pop on the TGL. Like I said, I watched it for about 12 minutes. It was like, okay, I've seen enough. I'm gonna brush my teeth and go to bed. This is probably at like, 9:30, 9:45, whatever it was. Um, so I I wasn't a huge fan. Um, I think it's a really interesting concept. I think there's a lot of potential. Um, I think there's potential there to do something cool. I also don't know how good of a move it was to have your first match, if you will, between the one team, which was like Xander Schauffele, Wyndham Clark, and someone else, right? And then the other team was like Shane Lowry, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Ludwig Aubert, right? Like of the six guys that were, oh, Ricky Fowler was the third guy on the New York team. It's like of those six guys, Shane Lowry is the coolest guy, right? Like from personality wise, right? Like Xander Schauffele is kind of a fucking nerd, right? Wyndham Clark is a douchebag. Um, Ricky is just a weirdo, right? Like he's just not like I'm sure he was fun when he was younger, but now especially that he's older, he's just lame, right?
I don't think he
Matt,
was a from then either.
yeah,
I
just
think he just wore orange jumpsuits.
yeah,
He's not a very interesting person.
right. Matt Fitzpatrick is a fucking stick in the mud, right? He is a classic, like just British, like I'm gonna put my head down and look at number. He's also a nerd, right? He's a numbers guy, right? He's British Bryson, basically. Except he doesn't hit it a million miles. But then Ludwig, he's brand new on tour, right? He's just came out of college. I don't know how good of English he speaks, right? Like he's
I think it's pretty
probably
good.
probably pretty good, right? But
'Cause he's Swedish. They speak a lot of English over there.
yeah, but like okay. And then you have Shane Lowry, who's like the bombastic Irish guy that's like fucking around with everybody. And it's like, I thought Shane Lowry came out of there looking pretty good. Again, of the 12 minutes that I watched, but everyone else was kind of a loser, right? Like, where are the personalities? Like, I want to see, yeah, and I guess then whenever the next one is, maybe it's this week. Um, I think it's Tiger's team versus Rory's team, and it's like, okay, all right, that I can get down with, right? But again, when I watch it, I'm probably in it for something different, which is probably what you would be interested in it into, I would imagine, or something similar. Right? Like you and I aren't watching that to watch good golf, right? It's a simulator. They hit their tee shot into a screen, right? And then they walk 20 yards behind them and there's a green, right? It's a turf surface, right? So they're hitting off turf. Um, the cool thing is they have the
Well, it might be real. They're hitting on real grass.
no, they hit off real grass off the tee. When they go to
And
the green is turf.
green's turf. It's not a real green.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
the surface of the green, I don't know for sure, but I know
Oh, okay.
surrounding the green, like the fringe is turf.
Okay.
Because that was a point that got brought up that none of the guys knew how to chip. They all looked like amateurs chipping because they're chipping off turf. Like no one could fucking figure it out. Like the ball was rolled. They were getting like 20 feet of roll on it. It was insane. Um, Xander Schauffele was just doing a bump and run every time he had to chip. I got all this from Twitter afterwards because I've seen all the golf guys post their thoughts on Twitter. But yeah, so they are chipping off of turf. As far as the actual surface, I don't know, but it's like the automated like pistons underneath, so they can change like the contours of the green for every hole. So that part is cool, right? So it's not they're not playing on the same exact green every time. But again, so I'm not watching it to watch the golf, right? I'm watching it for the entertainment and the personalities. So when you roll out in week one a bunch of losers, right? I'm like, well, that's kind of lame. But like, I want to watch something similar to YouTube golf, right? Whether it's foreplay, right? The old, breaking 100 or breaking 90 with Trent and and Frankie, or whether it's the Grant Horvath stuff or any of those guys, right? Like the no laying up guys, whatever. What was the other one we were watching for a little while? Good Good, right? Which isn't that where Grant came from? He left Good Good to start his own thing.
Mm.
Um, so that's the stuff that's like interesting to me, right? Because I want to see guys like have fun and talk shit and like be good personalities. Now I know they're not gonna like swear and like talk shit, right? Because it's still on cable TV. Um, but like have a little bit of fucking personality, right? Like I don't know, like if someone hits a tee shot and it kind of goes goofy and they walk off and their teammates are like, "Oh wow, that's the best you could do, huh? Like that's a great tee shot you brought here. Oh great. Now I got to hit out of this, right? Or I got to oh, thanks for leaving me with whatever, right? Like rib each other, like have fun, like I don't know. Um but again, I didn't get any of that, but I also didn't watch very much of it. The one thing I did notice, the audio, not good. It's in like a dude, honestly it looks like the Trop. Like it looks like they're playing in the Trop. Um, it's this weird dome thing. That was the very first thing that stuck out to me when I turned it on. I was like, the audio sucks. Like the audio is not good. Because like the crowd is kind of loud, but it's not really loud. Then it gets oddly quiet because you're indoors, right? So it's the golf thing. Like they're about to hit a shot or they're about to putt, and like they just stay quiet, right? But like when you're quiet inside, like the microphones don't pick anything up, and it's like, ooh, this is creepy quiet. Like when it gets quiet on a golf course, you can like hear the wind, or you can hear birds chirping, or you can like hear the crowd in the background, right? Like four holes over yell about something. Like you hear stuff. When it's quiet in a dome, it's it's dead quiet and it's weird. Like I don't know. I didn't like the audio aspect of it at all. They need to figure that out. They need to either like get it bumping like TPC Phoenix, whatever I'm blanking on the actual name of it, but
Scottsdale.
Scottsdale, right? Like they need to either get it cranking like that or I don't know. I don't know what they need to do, but they got to figure something out there. The audio is not good.
Yeah. So I mean, we did not watch. I did not watch 1 second. I solicited feedback from a couple people. So it's like my golf coach, Classic Gary. He was like, he goes, it was just really cool to see what they built. Um, as a guy that teaches and instructs golf, he goes, man, and he goes, it is just like he goes, it would be like a golfer's like playpen,
Yeah.
like as
Oh,
far
for
as
sure.
indoor goes.
Right, right.
Monday Q, he was talking like so they have a shot clock.
Yeah.
So this in my opinion without watching because a lot of people were like, oh, man, I really wish there was some more banter. I don't see how you have banter and a shot clock.
Yeah, you can't.
So I don't really know how that one works. So if you're sitting there looking for like banter and shit like that, I'm like, don't know if you're getting it. Um, Now my reasoning for why I will not be watching. Number one, I just don't fucking care. When I watch golf, I want to watch competition, cool places, um, sometimes an interesting format. Sometimes, because even with like YouTube, like I watched a lot of YouTube golf for a long time, and I definitely fatigue might be the right word. I don't know. Definitely like lost its luster to me. So it's
Yeah.
like there was only so many times where it's like, oh, we're gonna go buy thrift store clubs. It's like, okay, I don't care anymore. We're gonna buy junior clubs. I'm like, I definitely don't care anymore.
I'm gonna drink a beer a hole.
Well, it's like so that's a little different. So Good was like the original fun format. They do knockouts, they do lightning knockouts, they do alternate club challenges. Like they do all types of shit. Like they were the original of that. And that was cool for a while. And then it was kind of like less cool because in my opinion, there have been more channels with better players popping up. So I would prefer to watch better players. That's a
Right.
personal preference for me.
Right.
It also seems like everyone stopped doing like half hour, 45-minute videos and everything's just an hour and a half now. So that was also something else I noticed. So even with like even now, so what I've noticed is I would prefer to watch Grant and the Bryan Bros when they play major championship courses because that's a cool place.
Right.
Whether it's Busted Jack or some of these other people, if they go and they play like a travel series, like that's cool too. Like unique
Right.
spots to play.
Yeah, the travel series you sent me was good. I forget who that was, but
It was probably Busted Jack because they did golfing Old Glory. They played around in every state, and then they tried to do golf in the globe, and it didn't really work. And then Luke Kwan did some travel stuff. So it's like if you want to see some cool places, like those are available too. But then also it's like, Luke does an hour, 20-minute video multiple times a week, and it's like he's playing 7 times in Switzerland or some shit. And I'm like, I
yeah.
don't know anything about golf in Switzerland. So
Right.
no, I don't want to watch it.
Right.
But if you go to Australia and you play like some like more famous places, yeah, I'm kind of interested. Then there's like the entertaining part, which in my opinion is Bob Does Sports is the best with. So they're like drink a beer hole. They do their food challenges, and that's the kind of like entertainment stuff. So like they had John Rahm on, they did a taco challenge. John Rahm ate like a million fucking tacos, and then they shot 9 under. So you want to see guys? So like that's the thing is everyone's like,
Like
I,
that's what I like. I like shit
it's
like
like
that.
it's like oh, I want to see the players' personalities. Okay, this is not the format. The
Right.
TGL is not the format. The
Right.
format is when Bob Does Sports plays a scramble against
Yeah.
Xander Schauffele, which is if it isn't out, it's coming.
Right. And that's one of
Like
those two that what I was gonna say and what I was gonna get to when we were wrapping this part up was that I don't think I'm gonna get that from the TGL.
you're not.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to see what indoor can do or can be like, and you want something to watch on a Tuesday, that's cool. You want to see how people can play with a shot clock, like I'll give you that. That's actually like if you catch me tuning in, it will be to see how the flow works with a shot clock. Now,
Yeah.
the caveat there is they're playing in a dome. Like they don't have to walk to the ball, assess the lie.
Right.
Because even like some of the pace of play shit, they changed it going into this year, and it's like it allows the guys almost to take like more time now.
Right.
Um, and they don't penalize anybody either. So it's like I don't know. The pace of play thing for professional golf is a fucking disaster anyway. Um, so yeah, I mean that's why I'm not interested. It's not professional level competition that I like watching. It's not at a cool venue. Um, and it's not entertaining as my other available options. So I don't care about how they play indoors. I don't care. I mean, Monday Q, Ryan French did say he goes, they're not even showing ball data or like
Yeah.
launch monitor data. It's on a
Yeah.
launch monitor and they're not sharing the data. Like why?
Yeah.
Some people like that.
Right. Right.
I mean, I could care less. I know they all hit it fucking far and hard, but like,
Yeah.
um,
Like, oh hey, 177 ball speed. Cool.
well, that's the thing. It's like I'd actually be more curious to see what is it every shot because when they do
Right.
like TrackMan numbers, it's only on like 2, 3 holes, something like that
Right. Right.
at a PGA Tour event. So I don't know. You might get a little bit better because they got not as good reviews. Plus, Tiger's team is Tiger, Max Homa, and Kisner,
Right.
which Kisner does not belong out of the 20 players or whatever there
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
24. I don't know
One
how
of
many
these
teams
things
there
is
are.
not like the other.
He is not. But he brings, so that's the thing though, he brings the entertainment if
Right.
they let him do it, which I don't
Right.
know if they will. And I don't know if, because now he's lead anchor. I don't know if it's NBC or CBS. It does not matter. He's like lead anchor there. So it's like that company might not let him be him.
Right. Right.
So I don't know. I just don't think,
Also,
Could be cool. So it could be a cool concept for the people that are interested in golf but don't play on golf courses.
yeah, and
Top
that's what I mean.
golf
I think it
simulators
has a
and
lot of
more.
potential, right? Like I do think it has potential to be something, right? Again, I need to give it more than 10, 15 minutes of a chance to pass like legitimate judgment on it. Um, but so the other thing, right, if we're gonna go and keep criticizing it here,
Says something we didn't see. Yeah.
I understand I understand why it's this way, but big swing and a miss naming the teams after cities because it just doesn't fucking matter, right? Like I don't care about the Boston golf team, right? That has the frog from the Boston Common as the
That's the thing.
logo
It's
with
they're
Rory
all in.
and whoever. It's like, but I know why they did it that way because they didn't want to copy Live. They didn't want to be Live indoors, right? They didn't want to be like, oh, we're the fireballs, or you know what I mean? Like we're the we're the flaming hot Cheetos. You know what I mean? Like we don't want. They didn't want to do that because they didn't want people to accuse them of being Live indoors. Um, so they had to go with the cities, but the city thing just
They're all
doesn't just
individuals. It doesn't
just
work.
doesn't do it for me. Like it honestly makes way more sense to just give the team a goofy name, right? Like leave the cities out of it. Call them like again, the Flying Aces or the Four Aces, whatever. Like just give them goofy
They
names.
should have honestly. They should have just went regionally, like
Yeah.
Team Ireland, Team Sweden, Team Dallas, Team
Yeah.
Texas, whatever. Like that's like,
Yeah. You could have done that.
and you could have done it like so because you're. But if I say like, oh, Team Texas, and it's like, well, that's what they did now. No, whether it's Ludwig plays for Team Texas because he went to Texas Tech,
Right.
or maybe he lives there now. I don't know if he does. Like some affiliation.
Right.
Like I don't even. It's again the Boston team doesn't matter, but it's like Rory's on the Boston team.
Yeah.
What the fuck does he have to do with here?
Yeah.
Nothing. Um. See, I don't know. I mean, I'd have to remember it's on.
Yeah.
And if we record normally on Tuesdays, I'm not going to remember it's on. So I'm not going to watch it.
Right. Right. That's a good point.
Last week we didn't record on Tuesday. So,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
and usually when we don't record on a Tuesday, it's because of a conflict of some kind.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Not interested.
Yeah.
But I do think there will be some good takeaways from it. I just I don't care. I'm not
Yeah.
interested.
It was a hit though, because I saw they got 3.2 million views, like unique views. So 3.2 million people watched on Tuesday night. So I think
I'm
that's
also I'm done with view because everyone thinks they're like a views expert.
yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Tuesday night sports usually does either,
Um,
right?
I
Like
don't like that's the thing. I don't know. Like you
what
could tell
does
me it's like
like what does a ESPN hockey night on Tuesday do get, right? Like
no
I
idea.
don't know. Like it's just
And then I
3.2
get
way
better. Oh,
more than
well,
that?
it depends on the teams. I get that. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why like the conversations suck.
Yeah.
There's always like because it really just depends on your agenda will dictate how the ratings are, as opposed to it just being like, I mean, again, it can't be an objective thing. It always has to have qualifiers to it. Well, if if the NHL game was like a like an original six matchup, it does X, and if it was like Bruins Canadiens specifically, would do this. But if it's Winnipeg Philly, it's like it doesn't do as well.
Yeah.
Unless it's in Philly, because then it starts earlier, and like that usually does all right. It's like what the fuck.
Yeah. I just asked ChatGPT. Um, the average TV rating for NHL national games on Tuesday nights can vary. Hey, who knew? Who knew?
Oh, that's so weird.
Based on factors like team matchups, time of year, competing broadcasts, etc. For instance, October 10th, 2023, ESPN's national broadcast of the Chicago Blackhawks versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. So two original six teams, right?
Mm-mm,
No, not
mm-mm.
Pittsburgh. But still two massive markets,
Close.
right? With Chicago and Pittsburgh, drew 1.43 million. So on a Tuesday night in 2023, Blackhawks Penguins did 1.43. Um, in contrast, a Halloween special, which I don't like that number because no one's home on Halloween. Anyone that has kids isn't
Generally
home
not.
watching
Well,
hockey.
anyone that has, so whether you have kids or not, like I wasn't watching hockey because we were giving out candy.
Right. Yeah, and that one did with the Kings and Maple Leafs did 418,000. So I guess 3.2 million is a lot for a Tuesday sports. I mean, it's double
Yes.
what the NHL would get. But yeah, I don't know. I'll probably watch it. I'll
Also,
probably watch this
so
week just
let's
because
say the
it's
other thing too
Tiger's
is
team.
I also saw conflicting numbers because I saw somewhere in the six digits for ratings. But this is what I mean is like again, everything has to have a fucking if but or when to it. It's like fuck
Right,
it off.
right. Yeah.
And
Uh,
everything gets a fucking live comparison to, which is just annoying.
yeah, yeah.
Got a
All right.
playoff in Hawaii right now though.
Yeah, I know. I'm watching right now with Nico Echevarria and Nick Taylor.
You know,
Shout out to Nick Taylor. He crushes it at this course. Also a Canadian. Speaking of
he is
Canada
a Canadian.
earlier. But you want to wrap this up? It's about that
We
time.
can wrap this up. So yesterday we were at a brewery, which I have obviously soured on pretty
No
significantly.
pun intended.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know what a fucking sour is if it fucking punched me in the mouth. Um, I've soured on breweries. There's too many of them. There's what's the fucking thing? Um, there's too many of them. I don't love IPAs. It seems like everything's an IPA. Few times I've gone recently, I was so fucking hungover the next day. Like, I don't know what it is, and I just don't like beer that much. Um, so the beers I do like, if it's at a brewery, is usually like stouts, porters, whatever.
Yeah, same.
So Vitamin C Brewing in Weymouth had a stout called Beachfire Stories, and they describe it stout with notes of peanut butter, cocoa nibs, and vanilla bean round out this extremely approachable beer. And I would like to say that yes, I agree. It tastes like a fucking like a peanut butter cup. It was really good. But like I was like, oh, I'll probably like I said, I'm like, I'll probably have two of these because I'm like, I don't know how many of these I can really drink.
Yeah.
And halfway through the second one, I'm like I said, it's good, but yeah, I'll be switching to something else after.
Got any Bud Lights?
I ended up drinking, they had like some like 4% American lager, American ale. I don't fucking know. And it had like lime. It tasted like a almost like a Bud Light lime. And I'm like, these aren't, I go, these are all right. I'm like, at least I can drink these for distance.
Yeah, yeah, true. Yeah, I mean that's the thing with breweries now too, is like everything is like 12% here and this is a 8.5%. And it's like, all right, I guess I'm gonna have two of these and be fucking sideways then.
Well, that's how like so that's how I know I'm getting old. Now, like when they post like ABVs. I want nothing to do with the stronger ones.
Yeah.
Like, just give me like a if you have like something sub five,
Yeah.
like I'll probably drink like six of them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. It's like that. That's just the thing now, right? Is that everyone's chasing like the higher ABV and the double, triple hopped IPA and the this and that. And oh, it just tastes more like pine cones, right? It's a little bit like pine cones or a lot like pine cones. Right? It all tastes like shit.
And again, it's like like we went, I don't know, it might have been the time we went to Trillium. They like didn't have anything but IPAs. Like, what the fuck? Like, how do you have nothing else?
No, I think they had a stout because that's what I got.
Maybe it was a different time. I
Yeah.
went and it was like just IPAs. I go, I
Uh,
cannot fucking do this. But yeah, I mean that Beach Fire Stories, that was really good. Credit to them.
yeah. Yeah. To this day, though, as much as I just said, everyone's got to chase the higher ABVs. Um, one of my favorite beers ever still is the Allagash Curio, which I believe is 12%. So it's basically
It's
wine.
like wine.
Yeah. Because I think wine is anywhere from like 12 to 18%, depending on, the wine. Um, but that's such a good fucking beer. It's also been around forever, right? Like Allagash has been around forever. Um,
Even the Kentucky bourbon barrels, they have a punch to them.
yeah, Kentucky Bourbon Barrel, I think is 8%.
Yeah, that's what I would have guessed.
Yeah, and those are really good too. There's very few and far between beers that I will willingly drink, right? Most often it's got to be a stout or a porter, right? Just because that's just what I like. Um, if it's like a chocolatey or a peanut butter, I'll try it, right? Like, so I feel like I would like that campfire stories. Um,
Very good.
but yeah, like you said, though, I try and stay away from the crazy high ones, except for, the Curio and the Kentucky Barrel.
That's the other thing is like I also don't like I don't buy beer. When
Yeah,
I
that
buy
was the other
beer,
thing too.
it's
I also don't drink a lot of beer.
like when I buy beer, it's I'm buying light beer
Right,
for again for distance.
right. Or like if
I
I'm
do like
going
Guinness.
somewhere, I'll get like a 4 pack, right? Like I'll get like a 4 pack of the Kentucky barrels, right? And I'll drink two of them, and I'm like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah, and it's like I actually like Guinness.
I do
Like
too.
I do.
I enjoy Guinness. Like if I'm at a
Now,
bar somewhere and they have a tap, like I'll get a Guinness, right?
yeah, and it's Guinness is like I actually genuinely like them,
Yeah,
and they're pretty low ABV as well. I think they're 4.5 or less.
I think so. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, that's kind of where it is. Like, but dude, I haven't bought a Guinness to bring home. I don't even know when. I could not tell you the last time I purchased a Guinness, and then thus I cannot tell you the last time that I purchased non-light beer. I do not know.
I buy them semi frequently because I also will put a Guinness in my chili when I make chili.
Yeah.
Um, so I'll buy them again semi regularly, like every couple months. I'll get like whatever they because they're we I think they come in an 8 pack.
Yeah, it's either 4 or 8, I assume.
Yeah, but yeah, because I mean I know you know this, but I think I've talked about it on the show before. Because I have like weird reactions to beer now, like as I've gotten older, why like it just fucks me up differently. Like I can sit and drink a half a bottle of bourbon and be like, all right, yeah, like I definitely drank a lot, but like whatever. And if I have like 3 beers, I'm like absolutely just knocked out. Um, so yeah, I mean, I just stopped drinking beer over the years. But again, if I do, it's probably going to be a porter or a stout. So, what is my final thought? Oh, that's right. So this past Thursday, I had to go back down to Philly, which I will be back in Philly again this Thursday as well, for more work stuff. But last Thursday, I was there and I went down with my boss and I was telling him, like, we flew in, we had a 6 a.m. flight. This Thursday, I have a 9 a.m. flight, so it's a different timing of it, but still, we were there at 6. We were flying out at 2. Um, so we get in, we head to the site, we grab coffee, we hang out, we do a, little futzing around. We get to the new building, and we're like, all right, well, we're good here. He's like, I'm kind of fucking hungry. And I go, dude, there's a place right around the corner. It's called Capps Deli. I promise you, it's fucking great. I go there's not a lot of things that I would steer you wrong with, and food is certainly one of them, right? Like I don't fuck around when it comes to food. Like I'm not gonna tell someone that some place is good if it's not good, right? Like movies, TV, whatever. Like oh yeah, I do like Game of Thrones. I love Game of Thrones. It's awesome. It's not for everyone, right? Like I understand that. No, no, no. When it comes to food, if I tell you a place is really fucking good, that means it's really fucking good, right? If someone's like, "Oh, what do you think?" I'm like, it's good, right? Like it's all right. Like it's a good spot. Like it's nothing great, but like I'm not going to tell you to stay away, right? Like one of those. Like that's I'm very upfront when it comes to food. And I go, "Dude, this is the place we got to go." So he looks at the menu and he goes, "Oh shit, that does look good." So we hop in the car and we head over there and I go, "I'm telling you, like it's a tiny spot. Like there's nowhere to sit. Like you can't sit in there. You just walk in, there's a deli counter, there's a kitchen in the back, and like that's it." So we go in and I got the Conchi Classic, which effectively is the Philly cheesesteak, their version. Which is hilarious because when I'm there, the guy behind the counter goes, "Oh yeah, you guys been here before?" And I go, "Yeah, I've been here a few times." And my boss is like, "No, first time." Like, "What do you recommend?" And he goes, "The Conchi Classic." He goes, "It's the best steak and cheese you're gonna get." So like we're like, "All right, yeah, sure." Like we'll get that, right? Like I had other sandwiches from there, so I got it too. We got two of them, and then like the guy walks away, and my boss, he was my friend beforehand, but so I was because I was gonna say my buddy turns to me, and he goes. Uh, Dude, I bet you everyone down here says that they have the best steak and cheese. And I go, oh, yeah, for sure. Right. Anytime you walk into any spot down around here, they're probably like, oh, we have the best cheesesteak you can get. There's other places you don't come anywhere close to us. Dude, this was probably the best cheesesteak I've ever had. Again, I like with the not taking things lightly when it comes to food, right? And being honest and not, shooting it sideways, keeping it straight. It was probably the best fucking cheesesteak I've had in my entire life. It was really good. So once again, shout out to Capps Deli, uh, in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. This place cannot miss. Every time I've gone there for a sandwich, it literally blows my socks off. So I will be going back this Thursday for lunch while I'm there. At some point, I have to do a punch list walkthrough at noon, like literally as soon as I get in. So if I can land a little early, I might try and sneak there first and just bring the sandwich with me to the building. But we'll see. I will be back at Capps Deli this week, and I don't know. I'm gonna get a different sandwich. I'm gonna try and get something different every time I go. Um, because man, they're so fucking good. I think the next time I go, I'm gonna get the roast pork sandwich because I think that's the other Philly thing.
It's yeah, it is roast pork.
Yeah. So I've had whatever it was, the legendary Eddie and Larry, whatever the fuck that sandwich was, the Conchi Classic, and this week I'm gonna go for the roast pork. So I'll report back. I mean, I sent you and Jones the Snapchat of it, the Conchi Classic. The thing, not only is it fucking huge, like it was just great. So shout out to them. Yeah. So thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe up above, hit the thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you're an audio only guy. You can get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod. Twitter is Sarcasm_speaks. Facebook is Sarcasm Speaks. Check out the show notes. Support the sponsors, support us, get some cool shit. And until next time, good night, everybody.